All right, there we go.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, Josh, welcome back to the Take It or Leave It podcast show. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Now, you have brought a veritable, I don't even know what to call this, hodgepodge of equipment with you tonight. Can you kind of give everyone an idea of what is going on right now?
So yeah, I brought in my laptop and a couple cameras and my microphone so that we can live stream on my Twitch stream.
Now, what is it? Now, how does Twitch explain this to me? Because I'm old.
Super old.
Yeah,
Boomer.
yeah.
So Twitch is just a live streaming service that caters towards gaming, but has some other just chat discussion.
Okay.
I've got a channel for my Ion Gaming, and it's gonna be on there.
Well, speaking of some gaming, man, you've made some speed runs in some Super Mario Brothers. Is that accurate? Is that am I remembering right here?
Yeah, I've been practicing.
What's
my
the
recipe.
you got a couple that are from what I can tell. Now me, I'm like 3 days to finish Super Mario Brothers. What was your best time that you put up so far?
I think it's around 6:42 minutes and 40.
And we're talking about the original Super Mario Brothers
all the
on
way
the
through.
NES. Daily.
And
Yes,
Have you ever played the original Super Mario Brothers?
I have, and I have a Pocket Boy that I keep in my backpack now. The emulator that I'm trying to get back into some old school gaming on.
Can you beat it in 6 minutes?
Not at all.
What was the
Not at
time?
all. There's
I
no
think
way.
it's 6 minutes.
Yeah, there's a guy in our IT department. I don't remember what his Twitch stream name is, but he did and like just anybody that can do that just blows my mind.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Getting
Oh
under
my
the 5 minute mark
goodness.
is like whenever you get to that level,
Uh-huh.
and then the world record
How do you beat it in 3 minutes?
It's crazy.
Like
by using every little thing
It's
you can
probably
make
all
it
about
work.
rhythm and timing there too.
A standard run through, you can get under 7 minutes pretty easily if you can make it through the game without dying and use the.
okay,
like,
okay.
If you can holding B almost the entire game.
So you're just running the whole flat out the whole way through.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta have
That's
everything
wild.
memorized, don't you?
You would think so.
Oh yeah.
This is my ridiculous dog. We've talked about this dog before.
This is
My
the
wife
dog.
got a dog thinking that this dog was gonna help my son with autism. This dog may be the dumbest dog, the dumbest smart dog I've ever seen in my entire life. Like literally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could murder. So if you hear a dog barking, it's because my wife got so tired of him that she kicked him down into the bunker.
Is there
And-
any kind of engagement on your stream? Like people
No.
like
No.
okay, I was gonna say every time a dog barks, like
Yeah, right, like or take a drink. You know.
I don't get any views. I'm hoping that this helps.
Oh,
And,
that's
and by take a drink, what we mean is take a drink of Bang because that is the
no
official
Boylan's
sponsor.
cream soda.
No, that is. You see, okay, time out now. You brought cream soda.
I did
I don't see one in front of Josh, and I don't see one in front of me.
because I don't want to be judged.
It's you don't want to be judged, or you're a cheapskate. I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
It's a little bit of both. It was a
Oh,
Christmas
okay.
gift, and I feel that might be considered regifting. So
It might be. It might be.
in
but
some circles.
the best thing with getting a good gift, something like that though, is to
Share
share
it
it with all
others.
your friends.
Well,
Yeah,
to share
yeah.
all the happiness it gives me.
I'm
gives-
just
that
gonna
keeps
look at
on
I'm
giving.
just gonna look at your face and just be like,
gonna
whatever,
spit in my
whatever.
glass.
That's what I might do. I might do. We were last week or last episode. We talked about the rise of Skywalker. Okay, now we figure it's been enough time. Everyone should have seen it, and I got some criticism from
I
Mr.
wouldn't
Josh
be
Eller
surprised.
on my take of the movie.
It wasn't on your take. It was the fact that I felt like I wanted to be a part of that conversation. I could be part of it.
You know, though, but
But
your opinion.
I do have an opinion, and it's not
I'm
as
ready to
harsh
hear it.
as.
No, all right, come
I'm
on,
ready
bring
to
it,
hear
bring it,
opinions.
bring what you got.
I think that the movie was an enjoyable experience,
Mm-hmm.
albeit lessened the vibe, like the risks that they took in episode 8. It also weakened the fact that episode 7 is basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original 3 movies.
Yeah, right.
With just like it. I have a problem with 7. 7 is the worst in
7
my
is pretty
opinion. And that is because I
Really?
feel like they took the original 3 movies, the shot-for-shot remake, minor tweaks, and then just edited it down to one movie, and ended up.
I
It
could
is
see,
a-
I could see where you would have that opinion.
And
Okay.
I felt like that would have been fine. That would have been great. And as long as the next two movies, they changed some things, did some things new, I was okay with using one of the movies to bring the nostalgia and to bring
For sure.
the new audiences
You gotta step them into that trilogy.
without having to start them on the original
So
trilogy.
do you feel like 7 is the worst of the new trilogy?
Yes.
By far.
Interesting. No. So you feel like 8 is a better movie?
8 at least took it in a
Here
new
we
direction
go.
that could have been interesting. There was. I'm not saying that it was a
Correct,
great
or
movie,
anything, yeah.
that they didn't make mistakes. There's a whole third of the movie that could just be removed and it wouldn't affect the plot at all.
True, very true.
But the parts that were good, and I like
Mhm.
the fact that they were trying something different and not being as strongly reliant on the formula.
That had been existed before. No, I could see where you would come up with that opinion. I could see where you would end up there. Here's I want to add to mine a little bit. And I think me and you kind of touched on this. Here's what I walked away with. The engineers for the Empire,
So you
or
finally saw it for
or the
those who,
or the First
yeah.
Order, or whatever they want to call themselves, are the worst engineers in the history of mankind, the history of Star Wars kind. How is it they can't design a weapon without some type of fatal flaw?
They're
Okay.
they're building off
So
of
the first two this was a plot hole from the original trilogy
Mhm.
that Rogue One was made to answer.
To kind of sew up, right?
It was the first one was designed with an intentional flaw,
Mhm.
and then the second one was built on the designs of the first one.
Correct. Like the movies all over again.
This is true.
And so could very well have been built with the
Mhm.
same flaw if they didn't realize how it had happened
Right.
the
First time. Okay.
Which is very safe to say that they did not.
Yeah, they had a bunch of ships flying around, and all of a sudden it blows up. They may not have known
Mhm.
which ship actually, because they didn't see it from our perspective, where we're watching from Luke's perspective,
Right.
as the
He's making the run in the
the-
trench and
yeah.
the Death Star. Okay.
photon bomb.
Yep.
Or
Photon torpedo.
torpedo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went into the shaft. Like nobody saw that except for us on
Mhm.
our point of view.
But they are the worst engineers I've ever had a chance to see any kind of work from whatsoever.
That's understandable.
I mean, think about it. If your car had a button on it,
Oh.
then if anyone
Switch.
pushed it, it just
I
exploded at any minute.
actually, so this is one of my problems with it.
Okay, hit movie.
Mhm.
All right, so first off, they threw away a lot of the things where they were going direction, and that's totally legitimate because the fans hated New Direction and
Right.
were complaining about it a lot.
Right.
So they brought back the guy who had basically
Right off,
redone the original three movies.
Right.
So yeah, he continued to do that. He remade the third movie again. And some of those features, like they have to go down to the planet to get rid of the protection to allow them to destroy the ships and that are orbiting the planet.
Mhm.
No.
That was just what that was the plot of the third movie. So that's what he did.
Right.
Good point. This is a good point. What's sad though is that people are arguing and rallying and fighting each other over Star Wars when, and I wanted to touch on this just a little bit, okay? When we've had a president who's been impeached, and we've also had almost a declaration of war from Iran.
Well, not yet.
Not yet, but they are. They're pushing the buttons.
They have said that. What did he say? He said if we are going to retaliate, it will equivalent.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. Which is, for those of you that don't know, apparently there was a dust up at the American embassy in Baghdad, and Donald Trump sent just about everyone that wasn't bolted down to the ground.
He said, "No, baby, no."
Over there to make sure that nothing happened, and right after this, there was a drone strike against, I guess, one of the top generals for Iran, to be considered one of the most dangerous men in the world.
Soleimani.
Yeah, and took him out. So Iran is doing a lot of saber rattling. Now, Josh, you have some military experience. You're the expert in this room, okay? Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're gonna lean on this.
You're good.
Because I've been in all aspects of the military.
Listen, you were the one that was telling me that Star Wars Episode 8 was realistic, and you appreciated the fact that Holdo would not give any information to Poe,
Okay, yeah.
even though that was a major complaint.
Yeah.
You said, no, this is how the military works. Your superiors aren't going to tell you why they're doing what they're doing. So you've become the expert in this area, all right? So here's my question. Iran, they've been a saber rattler for a long time now. Is there ever a point where we take them seriously and decide that we're going to eliminate them as a threat altogether, or do we just let them continue to saber rattle until they do something against us?
Sovereign, it would have to do
anything, and I agree with that statement.
Enough provocation. But I totally believe that if there's somebody financing a bunch of attacks around the world,
yeah,
maybe it's not the
be done
when
with
there's an opportunity.
Right.
All right, now Jalen, now you're my political guy. I lean on you for all things politics, right?
Yeah.
How is it now? Donald Trump's been impeached.
Yep.
Okay, but he's still in office.
Still in office.
I thought the whole point was to impeach him.
Yep.
And then remove him, not impeach him and then leave him in office.
So the articles in impeachment, that whole part's gone through. Then it moves over to the Senate to basically say we're either going to move through with removing him or we're not. And we haven't gotten to that part yet because evidently like Pelosi is still holding on to the articles of impeachment. And
well, they actually have to put him. He has to go through
trial.
The trial,
Mhm.
like it's not a trial, but the trial
right,
process. Impeachment's just like charging him with.
They're saying there is enough evidence that
Until
we
proven
believe
guilty.
to bring him to trial. It's
Yeah.
like a grand jury. It's like putting
it's
evidence for a
It's
grand
like
jury.
when you get the ticket from the cop. You can still take that to the court. You can still fight it. All they're saying is we think there's enough evidence that we can prosecute you.
Does Trump get removed from office?
No.
Okay, all right. I kind of feel the same way. I don't think there's enough evidence. I really feel like the impeachment
and I don't
itself,
think that Iraq is going to start a war with us until they like kidnap Elon. And then we have the beginning of Iron Man 3 starting, or Iron Man 1 starting off from the beginning. That's when they're at their most dangerous.
He's been in the news a lot here lately too, man. What is he?
Let the man do his thing.
Okay, but what he's doing is like taking pictures on Twitter with his mom and just being like ridiculous. Like, can he not just like keep his head down and just
I guess when
keep
you're
building his Tesla truck?
You keep building your Tesla trucks. I would say that no, he's half crazy and all in on all his projects and stuff. I don't care what he does as long as it's out there.
Well, this is going to lead us into the next topic, and this is a terrible transition, but I'm rolling with it.
Segue.
Right? I'm looking at the Tesla truck. All I can think of is, have you guys watched The Mandalorian?
Oh yes, I have.
Okay, all I can think of is the Mandalorian's armor that this guy is rocking.
It's made out of Beskar steel.
Oh my goodness.
That might be the best, like, most positive thing I've heard about this.
It probably is.
It might be. It might be. It literally, it does remind me of his spaceship.
Signet on it.
What's the name of the Mandalorian spaceship?
Actually,
don't know. I don't know.
He references it in what is it, 6 when they spring the dude's brother from.
It's referenced a couple of times.
Yeah, he says we have a better ship in our own fleet, but it has old. It can't be tracked by old Imperial.
Well,
stuff.
there's rumor that it appears in The Rise of Skywalker that
which is blown in images, and you already know my thoughts on it.
Yeah,
I wanted like 100 or 200-year-old Yoda to show up, but.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about we talked about The Rise of Skywalker, and honestly, from what my opinion, I believe The Mandalorian is 10 times The Rise of Skywalker, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. I think it's much better. I would even venture to say that I think The Mandalorian is better than both The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
You think it's better?
Yes.
I think it's better, but at this point in time, not more integral to the overall like cinematic universe. Because there are things that are popping up in the show, and even that are referenced in the movie, that you get a good explanation for in Rebels and Clone Wars. And I'm now starting to watch those on Disney Plus just to make sure that I'm aware of like what's coming down the pipeline.
You had a look on your face. You don't agree with me?
Actually, I think
Okay. So,
I don't consider it bad.
well, no. I will say
I
this.
consider it a little bit above meh.
A little bit of
What are we considering above
Whoa,
Mandalorian.
whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it's above meh?
So let's break it into chunks, okay? Because I really feel like you can take the whole story of the Mandalorian. There are 8 or 9 episodes. 8
In
episodes
this first
total.
season.
And I think you can kind of chunk it into the first 3 episodes, the next 4 episodes, and then the final episode kind of ties everything up. It's just how you can chunk this up. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the first 3 episodes. Because honestly, after the first episode, I was all in, okay? It reminded me of a Western meets sci-fi kind of fantasy deal. We start off, we meet the Mandalorian. We don't know his name. We don't know much more about him other than the fact that he is a bounty hunter. Right? And apparently this takes place how many years after Return of the Jedi? Is it 50?
Yep. There's a timeline that they have that smacks it pretty much almost right in the middle between the
That
original.
No, that doesn't make any sense. It can't be 50 years after
That's
the
what it is.
Return of the Jedi. That doesn't make any sense because the Force Awakens is 40 years after.
No,
So,
it says 50.
I'm gonna
That's
look-
what I've seen officially online in the
All right.
timeline that I
Let's
follow.
look into that. Let's
Yeah.
look into that. So we meet this this bounty hunter, and we meet this group of people, the Mandalorians.
I have the ability to up these.
Yeah, can we look this up? Do you have your
in my
phone?
time? But go ahead.
Okay. So we meet.
Good, I have the screen out right now, but
You jerk.
I
Sit there
know,
drinking
I
your.
know. It's all my sweet boilings.
So, all right, we meet this group of individuals, the Mandalorians. Now, me personally, I know a lot about the Mandalorians because I've watched the Clone Wars, I've watched all these other series. Would you say it's necessary for anyone who's new to this do any kind of research in order to be able to understand what's going on?
I would say no, but I know someone right now who is willingly watching the series, aka Levi, that's out there in Crazy
Listener
Levi
land?
Land.
Yeah.
He's watching this series, but has refused to watch any Star Wars movie. He loves the series.
Well, but I could see, okay, when I say it reminds me of a Western, it really does remind me of, I'm trying to think of a good one. I don't know, like an old Clint Eastwood movie where he's the bounty hunter and he's kind of, he's tasked with a bounty. And as we learn, our bounty hunter is one of the best in the business at doing what he does.
Oh yeah. So Mandalorian is set 5 years after the fall of the Empire. 6, according to Favreau.
Right.
So it's only
We've got our
5
answer.
years, 50 years.
Maybe I saw a zero added
planet
on there.
are
Who
you
knows?
operating on? All right. So let's talk about the weapons that this guy uses first and foremost. What do you think about the disintegrator, and why is that not used
His main weapon?
more often? Yes.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that I can think of, it seems to fire slow.
Okay.
We don't know what the cost of ammunition for it is.
That's what.
How do you make ammunition for a gun that just causes you to literally disintegrate? Like what?
It might be a lot, and this is kind of getting the cart before the horse, but I guess the leader of that faction of Mandalorians that smelts the armor for him, he gives him a newer weapon and tells him to use that particular little missile launching thing off his wrist.
Whistling birds.
Whistling birds, yeah. She says to use them sparingly.
She does.
So I would imagine that there was probably something like that with this particular weapon too.
I don't know if I had a gun that just made people disappear.
I
would spam that thing.
And actually, I started wondering because of that he only ever uses it at range, and if it has to actually, or this is all the physics that we create.
Right.
Are made up from
Yes.
what we've seen. If there's something that it has to be a range, or possibly it actually has to charge after it's fired or something.
Okay.
I understand.
If there's something to do with the distance and
and so you can't actually.
I can see that.
If you played
Use
any
it
kind of
range.
Battlefront, they have a couple of long range weapons that have to cool down before they refire.
So if I'm him though, I'm spamming this thing like all day long. I'm hitting
You're just
everybody.
like disintegrate.
Yeah, leave no doubt.
I'm just gonna have 5 of them and
Yeah.
just swap them out.
rotate between them.
Yeah, Baby Yoda reloading in the background.
Oh, baby. All right, so you brought up Baby Yoda. So our bounty hunter, we learn, they kind of lay down the track that he's really good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and he meets with what do they call themselves? They're calling themselves the guild, right? So
Yes.
we're assuming this is some kind of bounty hunters guild,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets tasked with tracking down a target.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he wants a more higher paying job, and what's his name? Greef Karga gives him an opportunity.
Apollo Creed
essentially gives him an opportunity to go make a little extra money on a very risky bounty that everyone seems to have a tracker for. We come to find out.
Yeah, so he goes to I can't remember the name of the planet. He goes to this planet.
Mm-hmm.
He meets an Ugnaught. Okay, that's
Mhm.
a callback to, is that Empire Strikes Back? That they first appeared?
That I'm not aware of.
I think they were the ones that were like playing keep away from Chewbacca with C-3PO.
Yeah, maybe.
Drawing a blank on that one?
Yeah.
He goes there and he tracks down the target.
Mm-hmm.
And what the target is inside of an enemy hideout where there's probably, I would say, 40 or 50.
Which is probably the most westerny looking part of the whole.
It really is. And
like,
even the music,
movie.
the music is extremely Western. I mean, it really has like this,
Dun, dun.
this, what good, the good, the bad, the ugly.
You just need the
kind of
howls in the
feel to it.
background.
Yeah. Spaghetti Western.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So he goes and he attempts to, or he goes and he's kind of scoping out
Mm-hmm.
the bad guy or the where this is, and
Compound.
in comes my favorite character of the whole
really?
series, IG-11.
That's your favorite character of the whole
IG-11.
series.
For those of you that don't know,
I don't know about that.
no, go ahead. Come on.
Okay, so we've already gone through a few things.
We have.
There's so many things in this show that are either like lore breaking, or like just ignoring things, or making things that it's like, why didn't they do that?
Give me an example. Like,
Cinematic.
give me a couple examples.
IG-11, he's pretty much OP, except for if you fire right at point blank range. Why were all of the droids in the droid army so
So
horrendous?
Probably because they're. Well, I can't say anything about mass production, but
Maybe though, because they were so terrible, that's why we have IG-11, because they were like, nope, this is dumb. We're going to make a droid that is just... And literally, when Josh says he's OP, he walks into this camp and just is like a rotating... Yeah, he's literally just rotating.
his head's on a swivel.
But
His shoes on a
that's
swivel.
how a fighter built
You think?
robot should be. Like, they shouldn't have weird things like they can only attack in front of them. And they
That's
can't
true.
No, that's dumb.
true.
That is dumb. Like, literally, his
I'm
torso,
so hung
his
up that
arms...
that's your favorite character. Like, I feel like there's even better
Oh,
robots like
Name one.
some K2SO from Rogue
K2SO
One.
would get smashed.
K2SO and Rogue
Okay,
One is
all right.
awesome.
Let me
Don't
lay
get me
this out.
started on
Let me lay this out for everyone.
The Solo movie.
K2SO is a effeminate protocol droid
That's C-3PO.
from a decent movie at best. Okay,
I don't know. If I'm we're going
Whereas
to a rank of robots.
IG-11 is a death machine. He's a spinning wheel of death, just mowing through everyone that's
Yeah.
under the sun.
So speaking of mowing through,
No. You were
the other part of it is, why are the blasters totally ineffective unless the plot needs?
that's true.
Destroy his
Fire,
head.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good
Yeah.
point. Well,
Because
maybe
they bring out a pretty big gun at one point.
Yeah, but do they even hit him with the gun? Do they
Oh,
hit him?
No, I think he gets hit. Oh, yeah, he does get hit with the.
In that first scene,
yeah.
in that first episode,
Does he?
gets hit by
and
a lot.
Yeah,
of
and then he
blasts.
tries to self-destruct.
Okay,
And then that's when he takes the fatal fire that kind of like sits him off to the side. Then he gets up.
and that's it. Is he says, I can't get caught.
Mhm.
I have to self-destruct. No, go ahead. You're rolling your eyes, man. Go ahead.
It was just a cheesy moment.
No, it was really good because the Mando says,
Think they're writing themselves out of something.
the Mando says one of my favorite lines: "Do not self-destruct. We are shooting our way out of this." to me, that just screams America. Like, no,
Yeah, I can understand
do
that.
not blow
I can
yourself up.
understand that.
We're just gonna shoot our way out of
And
this
he
situation.
often trusts droids in situations where you would think he wouldn't trust a droid after saying he does not trust droids.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, cover me.
Man, you guys are like picking apart.
I was gonna say that robot could have just been like, "Screw you, man!" Like, and walk off, and he's dead. End of the series.
No, there's reasons why I have problems with the
Right.
show, and,
Okay.
and they're legitimate problems. It doesn't mean that I think the show is bad. And
Okay.
He
honestly,
thinks it's above
well,
meh.
I'm
It's
waiting.
we need the
and-
full
and I'm
chart to be
waiting
able to rank Matt.
for you to get this episode because this was the one. This was the best episode of the entire 8-episode season.
Ooh,
I've got a second thought to that.
yeah.
Finish playing out what
All right,
happens.
so they end up defeating the bad
I'm
guys.
not finding
and-
anything for that.
Oh, another robot on the move.
Okay,
Whose phone's talking? to
I
us?
don't know, but
Oh, that's
apparently,
me.
apparently it did not like Josh's comments about IG-11, and it was letting him know. Bring
Go
it
ahead.
away. It's gonna self-destruct.
I can't be caught.
You're not gonna shoot your way out of this one, Josh. No, but they make their way. They defeat all the enemies,
Mhm.
and IG-11 and the Mando make their way into where the target is.
Mhm.
And this is the big reveal of the first episode. The target is the internet sensation himself, Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Okay? And unfortunately, apparently, if you call him Baby Yoda, a lot of people will get really, really upset with you.
But it's just if he and
Favreau
Favreau
does
says he
not
has a
have a
name.
name,
Yeah, he
yeah.
says that he has a name. I'm like, if you're not gonna give us the name, we're going off of speciation. I'm not gonna call him Baby Humanoid.
Like people have always called Yoda's race Yoda's
yeah.
because they don't know what else to call
and all
him,
you
so-
gave me is Yoda and Yodel, and Yodel's now canon, so I'm going with some kind of
Yeah, it
YOD.
was Yaddle.
Yaddle, sorry, Yaddle.
Is that the female one?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I don't know where I got Yodel from.
Actually,
I meant
so
Yaddle.
there is a YouTuber that I watch
Mm-hmm.
that calls the baby Yodel,
Oh, really? That's probably
and
where
mixing between Yaddle and Yoda.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see this. Is that what we're gonna get? Is that what we're gonna learn?
No,
No.
they consider Yaddle canon.
Well, and here's the thing though: is the Mando his what he was told to do was bring the target back alive.
Mm-hmm. But the guy who paid him said he didn't really matter if it was.
My children
No.
dying upstairs. Apparently, they're like they like to do this, but the IG-11, the droid,
Mhm.
says no, I'm gonna kill the target,
Right.
and this is where the Mando, like Josh says, the plot
Yeah.
works in his way, and he just puts one or two,
I think it's
just
one.
one blaster.
And the way they shoot it's so masterful, where you think that he blasted little baby Yoda, and all you see is the laser reflection off of his Beskar steel, but really it's just a hole in the side of IG-11's head. I think it's cool.
All right, now you said you had something. You have something. Both of you guys said you had something. Jalen, you go first.
I have something.
You said you have something.
Oh, well, I have 2 children imminent to enter into this world, and I want one of those floating bassinets that Baby Yoda has. I need 2 of them just to follow me around. You know how clutch that would be? I have a friend who said, you should just design one just to take pictures, and I don't know where to start. If there's anybody out there that does 3D printing or anything like that, hit a brother up.
We might be able to help you out with that. We might be able to help you out with that. And you think this was the best episode of the whole series?
There's 2 episodes that I like above all the rest of them. This is one of
Okay,
those.
what's
two.
the second one? Just go ahead and lay it out.
I think it's episode.
Okay, well, let's go ahead. We're gonna jump into episode 2 right now. All right. So
We're in episode
well,
2. In episode 2, essentially.
Well, let's go this route. Episode 1,
Mhm.
I'm all in. Like I'm on
For
a,
sure,
on a
for
scale of 1 to 5. This is a 5 for me. I'm
But you just walked through the episode. What did you really like about the episode? What caught you and actually said, "I'm all in"? Why did you love that episode?
the whole. I'm a sucker for a western. Like I'm a sucker if it has a western motif or kind of theme to it, I will pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Until you kind of take that away from me or prove that you don't deserve that. Like I was one of the nerds that watched what was it, Dinosaurs versus Cowboys or whatever.
Aliens versus Cowboys.
Aliens versus Cowboys or
versus
whatever
aliens.
it was.
Cowboys
Yeah,
versus aliens. Yeah.
that's it. And it was terrible. It literally, I think I added. I think I lost part of my eyesight.
I know that I watched it. I don't
I don't
barely
recall
remember
watching it.
almost
It was
anything
terrible.
about it.
But they had me because of the West. I also watched Wild Wild West with.
I actually watched that last night with Courtney, and she fell asleep.
It's terrible. It's
She watched the
terrible.
majority of it.
That one I did not.
You're not missing anything.
You're not.
really
Giant
are.
mechanical spider walking through the Wild
It's
West.
just
after saving President Grant.
Dumb. It's just dumb.
Seed.
But it has a Western motif to it, and the pacing and everything was very, like you said, it was very spaghetti Western. The shots,
Interesting.
the way it was kind of played out.
And I like Westerns, but that was not one of the biggest things that I think.
Really, like the
I'm
anti-hero
cool with it, but-
bounty hunter kind of thing. Was,
Right.
You know, it sung all the song. Like it was playing like if there's a song that comes on the radio and it has certain things to it. This literally had every instrument that I wanted it to, and they played it at the right tempo to just snatch me up. So for me, it was a 5 out of 5. Now, Josh.
Actually, let's go to Jalen.
Jalen.
Yeah.
All right, Jalen.
I would say it's 5 out of 5. The thing that sold me on it was that opening fight sequence where he walks in to pick up his bounty, who you think is just some guy that he's helping out, and he's like, "I can pay you in credits." And like that guy was super funny. I know he's like a somewhat well known actor or whatever, but that opening scene where he fights all those guys was pretty solid for me. And then seeing how expansive they were going to make it, that it's not just a bunch of walking around and like interacting with people, but like you have that giant whatever it was that tried to grab the ship and kept them from flying away at the very beginning of that episode. Like, I like to see more than just the people. I like to see expansive I guess alien life forms. That gets me with Star Wars. You don't really see a lot except for like sock puppet coming out of a stone and trying to bite at a ship when it flies by. You know,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. It's 2 seconds, then that's all you get.
All right. So for me, the thing that really caught me was actually that same first fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
Although a lot of it we had already seen in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailers.
Actually,
They did, yeah.
Almost the best
almost
parts
all of the
it,
best parts, yeah.
Were in the first trailer, but I still really enjoyed how they
that
did it
subtle
together.
twist
But
is what sold me.
The thing that made me really want to watch the rest of the series was the cinematography.
Mhm.
And that's true across the
It is.
Yeah,
It's
it
shot
was
entire
very
show.
well done.
It's
Very well done.
beautiful.
Mhm.
It's edited really well.
Mhm.
The timings are perfect for the scenes. So that's really what caught me was the filmmaking.
The cinematography.
It's almost like
of
they
it.
want to develop a character.
So you said 5 out of 5. I said 5 out of 5. Josh, out of 5, where would you put it?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. So at this point, we're all taking on this thing. We're all like, this is
Yeah.
good. This is awesome.
Passing colors.
All right. So episode 2, and this is for me.
Oh,
Mhm.
I will say, actually, no, I'm gonna get hate for this.
No, come on, come
Oh,
on,
no,
come
bring
on.
it, bring it.
Baby Yoda
Uh-huh.
is the thing that I think hurts.
Oh,
Do you feel like it's
whoa,
because you don't know where he
time,
plays
yeah.
into? Because my thought process when you were like,
All right, you're
this
both
was
gonna
the
stop.
best episode, and like that was it at the beginning, the best
Yeah.
episode. I felt like there's been a lot of filler, but I'm okay with filler as long as you're entertaining me with filler. Like I realized, and I told Levi this when he was asking about what's going to come next. I was like, it's rumored that it's going to tie into Rise of Skywalker, so I could see they launched this service. They're doing a weekly format. They want to be able to step these things in rhythm with whatever movies come next. I love that. That's genius. That's borderline what they did with Marvel, but you had shows that really didn't add to the cinematic universe. So I was really like hung in on like where's his development gonna go? How does he play into a much larger story?
So
But that gets us further on at the end of the season.
for me, I feel like this series would have
Mhm.
been not so much better, but one of the things that detracts from it is the idea of bringing the Jedi history and lore, mixing it in. And the closer they get to it, the less I'm enjoying.
So you're saying you want to see other parts of the Star Wars universe stand on its own,
Yeah.
like they're kind of rumoring with the next phase of stuff.
Like, so I'm a big fan of like the video games from the older video games, the Old Republic, the Knights of the Old Republic games, and I always liked being able to just ignore those aspects of it to some degree at points. Whenever you're just in the seedy around situations,
You want to be a Han Solo. You don't want to be Luke Skywalker. You want to be a Han Solo. And
I
just,
can understand that.
and there wasn't this like Deus Ex Machina that could come in at any point in time and just change the rules on.
Right. No, I can respect that.
No, you mentioned filler. Me and Josh, we're a little older than you. We grew up with Dragon Ball Z, okay? And
I've tried watching.
you get 5 episodes of like good
Same
just
fight
like
scene.
content, and you're like, yeah, Things are awesome.
And that was before they reduced all of
Oh.
the shows down
Yes.
to take all of that
Oh.
out of it to make it
Oh my
a more
goodness!
watchable
Like,
series.
yeah,
for
you literally
younger
would
people.
get. I think there was like 430 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and literally they reduced it down to 80
I didn't know that.
because
I actually did not know
because most of it was filler. It
Like-
was like
a single attack could take 2 episodes.
nuts. Absolutely.
and
nuts.
literally we were all in. Like we were like, yeah, all in. So don't talk to me about filler. I don't want to hear about
All right,
filler.
all right.
I will say
Yeah.
in those 2 episodes they would like shoot to scenes like of things that didn't matter happening,
For sure.
like in the
For
middle,
sure, yeah.
and they'd go back to the guy who's still powering up that one attack.
There'd be like
And then-
a frog hopping or a rock moving. Like there'd be like
Uh-huh.
3 minutes of the rocks blowing, and then, that was our life.
Sorry, that was
That's
totally
hilarious.
off
No, but I
No.
appreciated that.
That's
yeah.
where we are. That's where we hang our hats. Man, but maybe one day we're gonna have to do some reviews on Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. That may be a future thing. But all right. So episode 2
Mhm.
kicks off with the Mandalorian trying to leave this planet he was on.
Right.
Okay. He's got the baby Yoda.
Mhm.
He's taken him and he goes back to his ship and he finds that his ship has been disassembled
Jawas.
by the Jawas.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I thought. Now this is me just being stupid. I thought the Jawas were only on Tatooine.
No, as far as I know, they're a desert dwelling type of.
it was never stated.
Sure.
That's the only time we had seen them previously, but I don't think that.
Well,
it
the
would have
highest
been-
interaction with them, I guess.
Was
Oh, the only time we'd seen them in the live action
Mhm.
main.
There you go. There you
series.
go. So okay, so his ship has been disassembled by the Jawas.
Right.
Okay, and we get him trying to get his ship parts back
Mhm.
while they're in their giant sandcrawler. And okay, this is where it falls flat on its face for me.
The Razor Crest.
Thank you,
Razor
thank
Crest.
you,
There you
thank you. So in the last episode, the Mandalorian literally wiped the floor with one of the baddest robots I had ever
Oh,
seen.
I see where this is going.
He had mopped up every bounty hunter scumbag, like 60 of them. No problem.
I am
Right,
going
right.
to interrupt you there.
Go ahead.
The robot was not like thinking he was a threat at the.
That
For
is
sure.
true. No, that is
For
true.
sure.
That is a
could
good
have, could have
point.
been a different.
That is a good point. That's why if you're a robot, shoot first, ask questions
And
later.
it's for your money. There's different motive here.
It's very possible that the robot was designed that he couldn't attack other people
another
from
guild
the guild
member. Yeah,
member.
yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
that's kind of how he stops the robot from pulling him
Yeah, he
out.
shows him
Right,
that
right.
he's a guild member as
Right.
well. But these Jawas,
Oh, and does anybody that has one of those things? Does the
The
robot
tracker?
just believe that they're so they could just kill
Oh yeah.
one of the?
We just show up with the
one of
tracker and be like,
these,
"Don't shoot me."
I got a tracker.
Yeah.
Every person in the galaxy would just hold on to
Except if-
trackers. And be
I'm
like,
sure you might
"Hey."
question if you have a bounty and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm one of you."
yeah, don't shoot
Don't
me.
shoot me.
That is
Just
a good question.
self-destruct.
That is a good
Walk away.
question. And if you know the answer, please let us know. That's
I'm
going to
sorry.
bother me. No, that's going to bother me now.
Then we're gonna make this,
No,
this
no.
discussion incredibly long.
No, no, no.
Like,
that's
we're
okay,
gonna
that's
stretch
good.
this stuff
That's a
out.
good point, though.
So, okay. So he goes, and the Jawas are in their big sandcrawler
Yeah.
thing. He has his disintegrator rifle. He has his pistol.
Even this rifle, I feel like every episode we go through, it's gonna come back to the rifle.
when he shoots them
could've
and they just
disintegrated them all.
they're just gone.
It's not as
So-
entertaining when Jawas blow up.
Oh no, I enjoyed every minute of that.
Here's a thing. Okay, the Mandalorian exists because what was
It was a one-line.
2 or 3 scenes of a guy that looked really cool in the background of Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
Yeah, he died really fast too.
and then
Mhm.
people liked him, so they made a cartoon about him
Yep.
in the holiday special, which nobody.
Has ever seen ever. Yeah.
I don't even.
And then so in that cartoon he had that blaster, and they had to make it cool, or else what
Yeah,
was
who
the
cares?
point
Yeah.
of having it in the cartoon? Like, why bring it back? That was one of the main distinguishing features of Boba Fett, was having that thing in the cartoon. So
Mhm.
they have to go hard on everything that represents the original love that people
Yep,
had of Boba
yep.
Fett.
Well, and even Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back, when he is commissioning the bounty hunters to go
Mhm.
track down Han Solo and Princess Leia, he tells them, "I want them alive,
Mhm.
no disintegration." And he looks
Yeah,
directly at
he
Boba
does.
Fett, and he's like, two
Mhm.
fingers, points at his chest, No disintegration.
And so like, and that is one of the things about the Mandalorian is they're playing on the little bit of knowledge or the little bit of information that we actually had about Boba Fett, and they just are trying to make sure that they hit every one of those buttons.
I can see that.
That nostalgia button as much as possible.
For sure.
So, well, he said annihilation, so we have to make that a thing now.
Right. No, I can see that.
But I think. Oh, anyway.
No.
I was going to jump ahead in the story,
okay.
and I don't want to do that.
So all right.
Sandcrawler.
I keep fighting that urge to talk
jump.
about things.
It's hard not to.
Later, yeah.
And literally, I'm thinking that he's just going to mop the floor with these Jawas in like 3 seconds.
They're shifty little creatures.
Oh my god. Okay. Literally, they get the better of him by hitting him with debris and then tasing him.
Yes.
And he laid on the top of their sandcrawler. Don't tase me, bro.
Isn't that what they tell you in like Alice training? If the shooter comes in, just throw whatever there is and like deter them. It clearly works.
Oh my goodness. So he has to enlist the help of the Ugnaught that we met in the first episode. Queel. And Queel takes him and they negotiate with the Jawas. I'm going to make this episode.
Which is masterful.
Can we mention the voice acting of Queel?
Who is it?
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte, yeah.
He does an excellent job. Excellent job.
There's easily one of my favorite
He brings
characters.
the character to life. Like there's a life, and Queel talks about being so old and having earned his freedom from the Empire.
So, like, the Queel is a practical effect. The thing about practical effects, like, you can't give them physically a lot of emotion and
it's fixed.
So,
like, to be able to do that really takes quality voice acting.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right.
I have spoken.
100% right. No. And so Queel takes him to negotiate with the Jawas, and they work out a deal. The deal is that the Mandalorian has to go and retrieve an egg. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here?
MacGuffin number 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
And literally, I went from fighting robots and shooting a bunch of bad guys to getting bested by Jawas and having to go hunt an egg. Well, he goes to hunt the egg, and here's the other thing I don't get.
So we have a scene where the Mandalorian's there, and Queel's like, "Oh no, we should talk to him." The Mandalorian's like, "Why don't I just kill him?
Yeah, why don't I just murder them all?"
Why
you're a Mandalorian. That's what it all comes back to. But you're a Mandalorian.
Yep.
But one of the things that we get to at this point, I think, is at this point he's actually bringing up the fact that he will not take off.
Yeah, he will not remove it in front of a living person.
Which is another lore-breaking, hurting feature, because the animated series, the
Clone Wars.
It was the Clone Wars. Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Rebels has the primary group of people there. There's a huge number of Mandalorians, and they're always taking off their helmets, talking.
I mean, he takes it off in what is that, episode 2? He's wherever they're doing.
Not in front of anybody.
No, but he still takes it off.
He takes it off and sets it aside when nobody can see him.
Yeah.
Which he apparently can't.
I meant trilogy episode 2. I was thinking of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett is not officially a Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
He's got Mandalorian armor, but he was not raised Mandalorian. He is not actually in lore.
I thought I'd read something.
That is interesting. Facts that you didn't know.
Right. But yeah, in the quote or in Rebels, one of the main characters, I can't think of her, is a Mandalorian, and she ends up getting the
dark. Oh yeah, never mind.
she ends up getting
a cool weapon.
Some of these weapons and things like this that really set her apart as one of the leaders of the Mandalorian. But everybody there is taking off their helmet when they're on. Whenever other people are visiting,
I wonder when this kind of became a thing for them. Then
I'm not sure, but they are consistent as heck with it. We've seen the pictures of the crew and everything together, and everyone's smiling, but he still has the helmet on. I enjoy that through and through.
It's okay. They can make up these lore things and incorporate
them,
and it's
dynamic.
Great. But sometimes it takes me out of the show.
Well, no, because you know otherwise. Because they have such a vast library of stuff. and there's been so many interpretations of it. It's hard to stay consistent all
For
the way
sure.
through. So he goes to get the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the egg is guarded by what I can.
Mudhorn.
Yeah, it's called a mudhorn, but
It's a big rhinoceros.
Yeah.
there you go. It is a huge rhinoceros, and okay, if I'm the Mandalorian and I see the giant rhinoceros monster,
Disintegrate.
I,
We need a disintegrate button for you for the remainder of this conversation.
I would
Disintegrate.
literally. I don't know why he tries to engage this monster.
How many shots do you think it would take for it to disintegrate a mudhorn? Do you think it's still a one-shot kill?
It's a one shot. It's one shot, one kill.
There's a point in the fight where he, like, right after it begins. Okay, I understand how it starts. Where
Right.
he's in the cave and it blindsides him.
Right,
and
and throws
but
him
then
out.
it throws him out of the cave like 70 feet back,
Right.
and he's just staring at it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes and gets a small blaster. Like, no, get your big gun.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
get what are you waiting for? and even when he has a small blaster, he waits until the mudhorn is charging him
Mhm.
and almost on him. And maybe he was doing that because the small blaster, he's like, I've
Yeah,
got to
like,
be closer to be
right. I gotta hit him
effective
in a certain
or
spot.
something like that. But then once
But-
that's gone, instead
But
of
his entire abilities of skills, like, seems like it just dropped. He's having a hard time getting out of this.
I was gonna say, do
this
you think
big,
the arena
like,
of
things-
mud pit? You think that affects him at all? Because I feel like he's like slip and slide most of the time during that
maybe-
fight too.
Okay, that
Not that I'm giving him an excuse, but
that could be more of an excuse. I didn't notice that seeming. It seemed like he was failing to like. He
did,
would
it
have
did
a
seem
good
like
amount of time while
Yeah,
the thing was
and not
running
seize the
after him,
moment.
and he wasn't even trying to get out of
Right.
the way. It
but
felt.
we have to have a build up for what happens next.
so basically he's getting his butt handed to him by the rhinoceros, okay? And literally
Oh, go ahead.
no, this guy who we watched take down a literal army on his own.
It's one of the best like moments of the whole fight to me is whenever he feels he gets to this point where he's dropped all of his weapons, he's down to his little vibro knife,
Yep.
and the mudhorn starts running after him, and he's just like, okay, I'm dead now.
Right.
But he's holding it like, I'm gonna
So
take
you think
this
it's
thing
more
with me.
honorable death sort of deal?
Yeah. And I think that scene was awesome at that moment.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that he's gonna take its eye or something's gonna happen here.
Right.
And the mudhorn, and I'm trying to remember how this plays out exactly. The mudhorn, it stops.
It's almost as if he's standing there waiting just to take the impact, and then like he realizes nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then you just see
the mudhorn behind him.
kind of floating out of focus, if I remember correctly, just marginally. As if it's
And-
like, why am I not able to control my
Right,
four
it's
legs or
floating
6 legs, whatever
in
it
the
is.
air.
It's part of this.
And then we pan and we see
When I start going, ah!
we see
yeah.
Baby Yoda with his, what does he have, 3 fingers?
Yeah.
His 3-fingered hand extended. And we realize, oh snap, Baby Yoda's using
He's
the
got
force.
force powers.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait to get into another episode to talk about that. I got a
oh my
couple thoughts.
goodness.
And it's another one of the it's the one of the main. It was the first moment where I was like,
Take away. Did you
like-
feel that it might be coming?
Is
though,
it
with
because-
being
is
a
it-
Baby
I knew,
Yoda?
yeah.
Okay.
I
good.
knew that it was probably going to happen, and I was really hoping
But not in that.
that it wouldn't have been that dramatic,
Mhm.
that quickly, with this baby thing that we've not had any build up or no knowledge of
Yeah.
how it, what powers it actually has. All of a sudden, it just out of nowhere, it is. Like I said before, it is the Deus Ex Machina of. We want to put the fit. We have to squeeze this thing in, so we're
Yeah.
gonna put it into this
You
circumstance.
can't get
It was
more
kinda
nostalgia than
shoehorned
Yoda.
in, is what you're saying.
Okay, I
Mudhorn?
felt like it was shoehorned in, and I feel like the Force, when used that way, whenever you give somebody who didn't already have some kind of inkling that they had some kind of a power, which actually they did. because
Yeah.
There was a couple of instances where it looked like he might be trying to use his powers, but
He just kind of
Um,
bats him away. And that's it.
But I feel like the Force is one of those things that you have to give it hard defined rules to use it, or
I
Do you feel like you're
or-
coming
or-
knowledge
or-
to use it, or just like the instances in which you use it?
uh,
I feel like there's already kind of
in the storytelling.
okay.
It's an all powerful thing
Mhm.
that if you use it for all powerful, then it's just a cheap way to get out of a situation.
Right.
There aren't any stakes in any situations because
Yeah.
whatever. But if you use it sparingly and you only use it,
Yeah.
or if you
Well, there's even Jedi
if
that
you
exists that way, right? The counselor versus the
Yeah.
I can't think of what they call the Jedi that you prefer to use a blue lightsaber versus a green. You got Qui-Gon, who's more spiritual about the Force
Yeah.
and encompasses in everything, but then you have like an Anakin who uses it for just what he can get out of it, and then you have the whole Sentinel idea, which we see Rey eventually might Sentinel with the yellow lightsaber. They're more of a practical. When it comes in handy, great. If not, I'm cool to use a fighting staff
You know
and
what,
not just use a force push to get someone out of the way.
Let me ask this: if Baby Yoda would have pulled out a blaster and disintegrated the mud, no,
Chalky,
and
chalky, and glocky, glocky.
yeah, this would have been like shot the Mudhorn. Would you have been less turned off, or would you have been like, oh, okay, I'm more turned off at that point?
If he hadn't already proven that he doesn't have the dextral physical modality to do that,
Uh-huh.
if he looked or acted like he was around the range of like a 10-year-old human,
Mhm.
Right.
then
But even then, I feel like that's a big inconsistency.
If he blasted him,
Mhm.
then I'd be like, "Oh, cool. That's a good
Yeah.
way to finish it." That is a learning moment for. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
Play the
not
best
just
instrument we have.
not a random force power that comes out of nowhere. That is a learned moment
Yeah.
that he's
Little
actually
survivor.
following in the lead of this
Oh,
person.
the Mando. Okay, I see what
Mhm.
you're saying. So, all right. Scale of 1 to 5. Where is this episode falling for you?
For
No,
me,
yeah. Start with you, Josh.
I'm gonna say it too.
Oh, I have it at a 3.
I'm with Josh on this. I was a 2, 1.5 to 2. It literally,
It was fun to watch.
yeah. And
I was the one
I
who
don't
was
even know
really
if it was fun
excited
to
about that
watch.
little
Like
hand.
I kind of agree with Josh. It was kind of like, whoa, okay, Baby Yoda has the Force, but like we never saw. Okay, this is my problem with The Last Jedi. This is my problem with The Rise of Skywalker. This is my problem with a lot of these things.
Mhm.
We have never seen the Force, light speed, or any of these things used
Yeah.
in this manner before. Never have we seen the younglings, okay, in the original trilogy. We watched them struggle
To do the simplest.
to
of
do the
things.
most
Yeah.
simple things
But
with
they
the
said
Force.
there was something about that with like they explained that they talked themselves out of that with more Force. That it was more dark side becoming a like when they
So
even talk
then-
about Anakin being able to not
And-
pass certain tests,
there-
even
there-
because of his not just because of his age.
There are plenty of rule times where people
Mm-hmm.
that are not trained to use or not to use specific dark side or light side abilities
Mhm.
tend to be more powerful, and they can do things like that they kind of train out of
Mhm.
them.
Which they insinuate with Baby Yoda a little
Yeah.
bit in further episodes. I feel like.
I don't know, man. It was one of those things that I was thinking I was like Josh. I was like, I'm gonna get a really cool Star Wars Western.
Mhm.
Like that's what I'm getting.
And
Then all of a sudden I got
Metal Daddy Baker.
I got a Star Wars Western meets The Hobbit, and it was
It's
kind of
The
like
Hobbit.
I just wasn't. I don't know, man.
This is probably why I love it so much.
And I would have been okay. Well, this was my thing. I wanted the Mandalorian and him to be the sole focus.
Mhm.
But at the end of it, Yoda he was the one that saved the day. He was the focus. And it seemed like at that point in time that he was going to become the main focus.
Oh,
Yeah.
of everything. No. And
Do
the
you feel
show,
like that?
yeah.
I felt like that enlightenment was necessary though, because you have to paint an even grander picture that there are a lot of things that haven't been experienced for a long time. Like we know movie wise, 5 to 10 years after 6, but Yoda went into hiding 20 years prior to that or whichever, and if you even knew what a Jedi was, depending on where you were in those outer regions,
Right,
like,
right.
there are certain things that you're just not privy to or experienced to. So for them to be like floored by that, he could even do that. I feel like it needed a moment that would show like, oh, this is like next level.
One of the things that it's not a spoiler, but I'm
Mhm.
going to talk about it that they talk about a little bit later in
Mhm.
the show is they don't even seem to know that there is a thing called the Force, which
Right,
I actually
right.
like.
Well,
I do
right.
like that.
even and if you wanted to go back to A New Hope, right? If you go
Mhm.
back to A New Hope, Han Solo, who's a smuggler who's been around, who's
Yeah.
seen quite a few things, he's like,
That's
the
just
Force, that
religious-
hokey religion, that's a
yeah.
bunch of nonsense,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
But even in his case, he had heard of it. It seemed
Right,
like.
but to
Right.
him it was
these,
kind of like,
these guys
eh.
they never mention the
No.
Force except for certain people towards the end actually know what it is,
Mhm.
but they don't even They have no clue.
Yeah.
They've never seen anything, heard anything like that about it. Now, 5 years after,
No. I can see it though. And you figure the only
yeah, you're right.
Because there's a small
the
faction
only
of people
the
who
only
know
Force
what goes down.
users
There's only
is Luke.
Luke, right?
That's
at
it,
that
like-
point in time. That we
Technically
know of.
Name them.
or 4.
Name them.
Well, you got
5
got
years.
Darth?
5 years after.
Oh, you're saying 5 years
Name 'em.
after? I thought
Yeah.
you meant
Yeah.
like
No, during the
previous.
Mandalorian.
Okay, yeah, during the
Yeah.
I agree.
Luke is the old.
Well, I'd give Leia.
Actually, like not extended universe, but in some of the cartoons, I think some of them are still found later
Mhm.
to exist, but none of them are using any of their powers or anything.
I thought you were like saying reference point previous to the
no,
show.
no.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
well,
when
you-
there's-
At the same time,
Mhm.
we right now, there are religions that ended on our planet thousands of years ago
Mhm.
that
We have a very
We have
minimal.
an
We
idea
may
about-
know
yeah.
that there was
If-
something, but
Yeah. Well, essentially, that we've had Jedi temples destroyed, 2 of them already.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, things get erased. I can understand.
but
it.
100 years ago,
Yeah.
I feel like you would have heard about it.
I heard about it, but
if it had such grand effects and was part of the Republic
Right.
and things
But
like
you,
that.
you guys are forgetting. Here's what you're forgetting, okay? And we're coming up on an hour here. This is insane. Okay, here's
I have one thought I want to finish.
well, no. Here's the thing you're forgetting though: the Emperor and Darth Vader,
Mm-hmm.
right? The Empire went out of their way to wipe out any belief, any understanding, anything that they found that was of the Force. They either kept it for themselves or obliterated it.
For sure.
And basically stomped it out. I mean, they were literally the epitome, the picture of the Nazis,
yeah.
just stomping out everything in their past. So I can understand why, even in 100 years, if someone had went that 100 years and physically went out of their way to destroy all knowledge of that item, how it would be like, are you sure that exists? Are you sure that's even a thing?
Okay, I can see that.
All right, so final thoughts. Because we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
We've been talking for an hour.
The final thought that I was going to step into, and this had to deal with like Baby Yoda picking up a Glock and maybe being 10 and not being so baby-like, is that he steps in between this like very adult awareness when it comes to using the Force and protection, but then you get the oohs and the coos and the gagas like every other time. Like it's very not a fine line between like toddler and baby, but even like the toddler-esque parts of him seem more mature than that when he's using the Force. Like, there's something that he understands in 50 years, but yet they depict him as a, and like, that part I'm struggling with. Even later on in the series,
Even if
it gets a little extreme where I'm like, so does he understand what's happening? Can he help right now or not? Like, is he going to take a nap? Does he need a bottle? Like, I don't, that's hard for me.
I'm just agreeing.
Final
Yeah.
thoughts, man. Final thoughts.
I feel like this was one of the episodes that I felt was the weakest from the ones.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, probably the whole show. It ended on a bad note for me. That it emphasized the worst things about the show.
The worst
to
parts,
me.
yeah. I agree with that. All right, Josh, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I
Always
really
a-
was
always a
hoping,
treasure.
yeah,
We're gonna cut it out after 2.
we're gonna have to, man. We're gonna have to. I want to go ahead and thank our fans. If you hung in here for the whole hour, we really appreciate it. If you disagree or you agree with our opinions on The Mandalorian or on The Rise of Skywalker, let us know. You can hit us up on Facebook. If you found us on iTunes, go ahead and like us and rate us and leave us a review. That's how we move up in the world. That's how we get noticed. How we make all that cool advertising money. Bang, we're talking to you. You can also find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. And, of course, you can find the episode this week on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Twitch, yes.
And what's your handle? How can they find us there?
Just Ion, IOU.
And if you like Josh, check him out on that. He puts out an episode. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start following him and seeing what he's doing there.
I
need some
haven't
more Mario runs, man.
I haven't been streaming as much lately because of that, but I'm hoping to get back into it.
Like it. I'm looking forward to some new content there. As always, want to thank our fans. Josh, want to thank you again, Jalen. I don't know if I want to thank you for anything.
Whatever. You know you love Bob Boylans.
And as always, you guys can take it or leave it. Jeez, I didn't realize we were in it for an hour. I'm like, what are we doing?
I loved it.